Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. I'm hoping you guys are all having a fantastic day. So in today's video, as you can tell by the title, we will be talking about a large storm system that could be developing across the United States into this upcoming week and weekend. This one is going to be a pretty large one. There are going to be areas that could receive quite a bit of rain and flooding, potentially, if there is enough rain. And this thing, again though, won't be too incredible in terms of its wind power or its area of circulation. This thing is usually, or those characteristics are usually kind of more of associated with fall storms rather than early fall storms or astronomically still late summer. And I'll also be going over an area of tropical development. I mean, it is a Hurricane K, and how that will be affecting Southern California and potentially Arizona and even Nevada, with a kind of quite a bit of rain, which it really is unusual, as that system will be taking its track very close to the west coast. And I don't really remember my time of tracking weather ever this occurring. Obviously it probably has, but yeah, let's start talking about that. So first off, let me show you the GFS, and let's just start off with Hurricane K. So notice it is a pretty powerful storm. It is going to be moving up the Baja Peninsula. It's not going to be really making landfall. Potentially it really could. It's hard to tell. If it obviously doesn't make landfall, it will be a bit stronger as it moves up the coast, as it won't be intercepted with the dry land and will stay over water. But it will be weakening nonetheless because it moves into cooler waters. However, even if it does make landfall, which GFS does have a kind of skimming, right, not full landfall, but the center does come on shore several times. You can see it has a lot of moisture and a lot of rain with it, and it drags up through much of southern Mexico, really northern, I should say, not southern Mexico, extreme northwestern Mexico, and extreme southern California. And notice that by late Friday into Saturday, we do have this system moving into a lot of California, into Arizona. It's sparking up showers because of all the moisture it brings into Nevada, California, central California, southern Utah, and even into Colorado. And do note that at the same time, we also see a pretty powerful cold front dragging through the United States, through Minnesota, North Dakota. And I say powerful, not necessarily because of the rain it will be bringing, but because of the impacts. And this cold front combined with this moisture here will be developing a storm that I'm talking about. But regarding this tropical storm, notice that it really remains at large, not affected by this cold front, and does bring rain, traveling all the way into central Nevada, central California, and into southern Nevada, getting more and more into areas like Lake Mead. And it does weaken. You can see at this point it's barely a functioning tropical storm. But Utah, Arizona, northern New Mexico, still seeing that surge of moisture, producing those monsoons again. You're kind of starting them up for a few days, and that is that. So notice that does continue for a few more days, these rain showers. And I do want to show you the total accumulated precipitation from that system. Let's zoom in into southern, the southwestern United States. And do note that anywhere in that purple, right, so there's a dot right here near even the Nevada border, pretty far again from the California-Mexico border, where the heaviest amounts are. Anywhere the purple is, that's 2 inches. Anywhere in that blue, and again, depending on its shading, it's anywhere from 1/2 inch to 1 3/4, and all the way up to 2 inches. So yeah, quite a bit of rain, especially the further south you go. And on the Baja Peninsula, there could be amounts that are approaching 7, 8, 9 inches. So definitely some flash flooding could be occurring, especially after the recent heat wave. The ground in many areas is pretty dry, so that could cause some more issues off of that. Notice into Arizona and New Mexico, the amounts shouldn't be rather that staggering high, so those areas should be fine. But again, all it takes is a little bit of a thunderstorm to kind of hang around for a while, and that does cause some flash flooding. So that's definitely something to watch for. Notice it's a very impressive system, almost looks scary headed for the southwest, but it will be weakening. And the wind threat, it will be bringing some winds, but mainly in the 40 to 60 mile per hour range. And obviously in the peaks on the mountains in Southern California and the Baja area, we'll be seeing the highest, the strongest of those winds. Now, as that was going on, again, I pointed out a cold front that would be bringing a bit of chillier air, but also it will be interacting with the surge of moisture as the wind kind of ceases to really stop directing a lot of the moisture, eastward, westward, and this thing just kind of goes up to the north. It just kind of glides up, and what that does is with this cold front, it starts interacting, and by midday Saturday, it's starting to look like a pretty large area of precipitation, and we see some thunderstorm development. We do have a low pressure that begins to form, and look, this thing actually starts to form pretty well as we have this tropical storm. I mean, at this point, probably just a low pressure, of Hurricane K dying out across the southwest. We have a pretty strong area of circulation developing across the Midwest and Great Lakes. This will be bringing, showers and storms for several areas for you can see potentially a prolonged period of time. I mean, look how slow this moves from around early Sunday morning to around late Sunday into early Monday. It really doesn't move that much, and some areas, could be picking up quite a bit of rainfall from this. Though it kind of wraps into itself, and by really midday Monday, this thing kind of starts scattering and moves into the northeast and as a really non-significant storm, and pretty much all said is done from that. Now, if I were to put this into the motion into the future, you do note that we are entering a more active period of time. So not only do we have these, more consistent little disturbances, but we also just have these bigger, larger storms. So notice there's one scurrying way across central Canada. Could be bringing a bit of shower activity. Again, some earlier model runs were showing a larger system out of that. But do note that we have this activity that starts increasing. This latest model run isn't too excited about that, but I'll show you some that were a bit more excited by that. Notice some larger systems potentially moving into Northern California. Let's take a look at the noon one. I believe this one portrayed more activity as opposed to the one I just showed you. Again, there's that system into this weekend. You can see it kept it a bit stronger, also going into the northeast. So that's something interesting. But notice what the models did in the future. You can see by September 19th, it showed a pretty strong system across the northern central United States with a pretty nasty cold front, more potential tropical activity. You could see a surge of moisture coming in from the south, and look at 540 line getting pretty far to the south right there. Definitely that could be, delivering quite a bit of chillier air. Let's go back even further and take a look at 6Z. Well, I guess this one never even loaded. Let's take a look at Midnight one Wednesday. This one also was a model that showed you can see some pretty large storms, even some pretty heavy snow for the mountainous areas. In around, again, Monday, September 19th, you can see that would be a very strong system. And again, that just goes to show you that with each model run, we get quite a bit of change, but they're uncertain, if you will. We're heading into uncertain weather times regarding, it's change, right? I mean, the spring or the summer equinox, or the fall equinox, will be, happening on the 21st, and that is a pretty significant indicator of change. The days are going to be equal with the nights. Long gone are the days where, they were much longer than the nights. Soon we're going to be in opposite, nights much longer than the days. But do note, that's what the GFS shows. I want to show you what the European shows in terms of the Hurricane K and its eventual impact on the California and Arizona and the Southwest. Notice it also shows it skimming the area with quite a bit of heavy rain. And again, do note that the European nor the GFS do not show it making landfall. That would be a bit more of a problem. It kind of just skims the coast. And notice that the European also shows that cold front with that surging moisture from the south, and it shows the beginning development stages of that system that I'm referring to in the title. But again, I'm talking about the hurricane there as well for quite a bit. But this is a model from Noon. The same model, it's just a different model one, I should specify. This goes out further, and notice again, there's that cold front that kind of wraps into itself as a low pressure starts forming. We see quite a bit of moisture surging northward. Again, this thing kind of hangs around for quite a few days across a very similar area. That could lead to some problems. And again, other than that, though, just some nice rain, quite a bit of cloud cover from that. Definitely going to make it feel pretty dreary, that system. And if you were to take a look at the temperatures, I can assume it's going to keep it also nice and cool for the areas that it impacts. Right out ahead of that cold front, though, you can see very warm conditions. You can see 80s, but as soon as that system starts intensifying, yeah, you could see during the night getting downright chilly, 40s, right, 50s across the affected areas, and yeah, you could see only peaking at 60s and lower 70s during the day when over the areas that system is kind of impacting and affecting, and you can see that kind of it consists or goes on for at least a few days before we see a more consistent warm pattern. Do note that we also see a similar cooling kind of process going on across the Southwest. I mean, they've been super hot. Los Angeles in the hundreds, in the upper 90s. And once the system moves in, I mean, it'll be 70s, right? So a lot cooler and potentially rainier, which is also going to be probably pretty nice for the areas that, got absolutely blasted by that heat. And do note, we do have frost at this point occurring across the mountains. Really, nothing unusual at this time of the year for that to be occurring. And you can see that the overall theme of the country is still warmer than average, with a few, again, cool shots mainly brought by that system that could spark a few frosts across the mountains, but nowhere else really, still too warm elsewhere. And do note that overall a warming pattern as we go into this end of this weekend into next week, with a warm pattern probably sticking through much of the long range. At least for the majority of the United States. Notice again the West was really warm. They are going to see a bit cooler weather from that system, and then you can see the heat kind of comes back, and there will be brief breaks, right? But again, definitely more of the heat on the extreme side as opposed to the cold, and there could be some cold breaks, but again, it doesn't seem too likely now. And as I mentioned earlier, we could be starting to see some larger storms across the west. I'm sorry about that. You can see Washington, Oregon, Northern California potentially getting some rain. Systems beginning to move in. It's that would definitely be a good sign if that were to occur. As a lot of these areas need that water. Canadian model, I could show you this one as well. Decent one. I don't like it too much, but you can see with regards to the K, it shows a similar path. Here's that late weekend, early next week storm. It does, you can see, keep it more organized as it tracks through the Northeast. So let's do that again. Notice there's that cold front. There's that system that develops, and then across the Northeast, you can see it shows quite a bit of precipitation falling as well. That would be good. These areas are in a pretty bad drought, the Northeast, New England specifically, so that definitely wouldn't be the worst case scenario. Though you can see that the European ends up showing, that's one that doesn't even go up far enough. The European does end up showing a bit less. Again, it's a slow moving system, but nonetheless it still shows a bit, so that's definitely encouraging. And in the GFS, you can see it shows the least. So that's that for today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next episode. See ya. Bye.